These days, with the way Haaland pulls hat-tricks every other week, you'd think he's a magician. This season alone, he has scored 4 hat-tricks, with each new one seemingly breaking a new record. He scored his first hat-trick in his second Premier League game against Crystal Palace, and the second, a perfect hat-trick, came just 4 days after against Nottingham Forest. That second treble made him the quickest player in Premier League history to score 2 hat-tricks. He would go on to score another hat-trick in his first ever Manchester derby, which then made him the first player in history to score hat-tricks in 3 consecutive Premier League home games. Also, that was just his 8th Premier League game. He instantly became the fastest player to score 3 hat-tricks, beating the previous record held by Michael Owen by 40 games. He came into the new year and maintained the same form, scoring yet another hat-trick in January against Wolves to take his goal tally to 25 in just 19 games. Basically, it took him just half of the season to surpass the number of goals Son and Salah scored all season to win the Premier League Golden Boot last season. Truly, he is a master of hat-tricks, but where did this all start? The one-word answer is Norway. He was born in Leeds, but Haaland is really a Bryne boy. That's his hometown, and that's where his footballing story started. But his hat-trick heroics actually started in Molde, where he played under Man United legend Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He actually joined the Bryne Academy in 2005 and rose through the ranks until 2017 when he transferred to Molde. At Molde, he exploded. He was just 16 when he made the move within Norway, but he was already a unit. And then, on the 1st of July 2018, it happened. His first hat-trick. In the opening 21 minutes of a league game against table-topping Bryne, he netted 4 times. And here's the thing, not only were Bryne at the top of the table at the time, they were also unbeaten that season, but teenage Haaland made them look so ordinary. That was a point where many people started paying attention to this cyborg. His national team captain, Martin Ødegaard, said that was the first time he heard about Haaland, and since then, the striker never left his fantasy team. That season, he finished as Molde's top scorer and was named the league's breakthrough player of the season, but what we didn't know was that the boy had only just started. In January 2019, he moved to RB Salzburg, and those who didn't know the hat-trick king were about to be introduced to him. He blossomed so much in Austria, but he actually started out slow. At the beginning, he was hardly starting games and was hardly scoring. But then, that summer, something absolutely incredible happened which turned every single doubter into a believer. Haaland went to the 2019 FIFA Under-20s World Cup with Norway, and in the group stage, he shocked the world. Erling Haaland scored not 1, not 2, but 3 sets of hat-tricks in a single game. Of course, it was a record. The highest number of goals ever scored in a single game in the history of the Under-20 World Cup. And of course, those 9 goals were more than enough to win Haaland the Golden Boot, even though Norway did not make it past the group stage in that tournament. After that outstanding display, we all knew that there was no way Haaland would return to Salzburg and struggle for form or game time. And we weren't wrong, not even a single bit. His first hat-trick for Salzburg came in the Austrian Cup in July, just 2 months after his exploits at the Under-20 World Cup. The following month, he scored another hat-trick, this time in the league. The month after that, he scored yet another hat-trick to extend his goal-scoring streak to 6 games. At that point, we were all amazed by this teenager from Norway, but many were thinking, surely he can't go on doing these things game in, game out, right? But Haaland was like, hold my lasagna. Just 3 days later, he scored yet another hat-trick. This was his first in the UEFA Champions League, and it came in just the first half of his Champions League debut. Absolutely crazy. With that, he became the first player in the history of the Champions League to complete a hat-trick in the first half of his debut. This is the point where I remind you that he was still just a teenager at the time, already breaking records that men 10 years older couldn't break. He would go on to score more goals and break more records both in Austria and in Europe that season. Watching that, we all knew there was no way he would be at Salzburg for much longer. And we were correct. In January 2020, despite interest from really huge clubs around Europe like Juventus and Man United, Haaland decided to go to Borussia Dortmund. And for his first game, he came off the bench in the second half and completed a hat-trick in just 23 minutes. Nah, this guy is not real. He just cannot be real. You think that was crazy, right? But he was only just getting started. 6 days later, he came off the bench again, but he only managed a brace this time. In his next game, he scored another brace, which made him the first player in Bundesliga history to score 7 goals in his first 3 games. And then, in his Champions League debut for Dortmund, he scored another brace, this one coming against French giants PSG. He started his full season in Germany with a brace against Mönchengladbach. So many people started to think that the hat-trick juice had dried up. But he made sure to shut everyone up in November, scoring 4 in just 32 minutes in the Bundesliga against Hertha BSC. Yet again, many learned not to ever doubt Erling Haaland. But then, his high-flying season suffered a little blow when he sustained a hamstring injury in December. But he wasn't down for long. He came back in January, scoring 4 braces in the first 2 months of the year. He would go on to continue scoring that season. He scored enough to win him the Bundesliga Player of the Season and the UEFA Champions League Best Forward of the Season award, as he finished as top scorer in the competition that season. He opened the next season, which would turn out to be his last season in Germany, with a hat-trick. But then, he got heavily hindered by injuries, which left him out for a huge chunk of the season. Anyway, at the end of the season, he got snatched up by Manchester City, and the rest, as they say, is history. Some opposing fans had the guts to doubt Haaland after he failed to score and even missed a sitter in his first game in England, the FA Cup Community Shield against Liverpool. But once the season started, he showed us that the game was just an outlier. He scored a brace in his first game against West Ham, provided an assist in his second game against Bournemouth, scored 1 against Newcastle, then scored his first hat-trick of his Premier League career to complete a comeback against Crystal Palace. It was just his 4th game of the season. The following game, another hat-trick. Then he scored 1, 2, 1, 1 to keep his scoring streak going before then scoring another hat-trick in the Manchester derby. After that hat-trick, it took him 3 months to get another one. The standards the cyborg from Norway had set for himself were so high that people started to make it look like he was no longer that guy because he had stayed 3 months without scoring a hat-trick. I will remind you that Haaland didn't play football for 1 month out of those 3 because of the World Cup break. So technically, we waited just 2 months for another hat-trick from the Norwegian. He might make it look normal, but these numbers are actually incredible. Anyway, the second half of the season has begun, and we can't wait to see how many more tricks the magician has up his boots. Already, his name is pretty much on the Premier League Golden Boot this season. But will he break Shearer's record for most hat-tricks in a single Premier League season? He just needs 2 more to do that, and it would actually be a smart investment to put your money on the Norwegian smashing that record this season. But what do you think? Let us know in the comments.